Hi everybody and welcome to my session on Blackberry. I've entitled it Blackberry Much More Than Mobile Devices, and that's because at Blackberry we are much more than mobile devices. True, we did start off with mobile devices and we have had mobile devices at the heart of what we do for a number of different years. However, we are much more than mobile devices, and hopefully at the end of this session you'll know what we do and why we are much more than mobile devices. So moving swiftly on. My name is Andy Grayson and I am a Blackberry sales engineer. I've been with Blackberry for about 4 years, just under 4 years now actually. Prior to Blackberry, I was actually on the customer side. I worked with large financials in the UK, also government departments in the UK. So I've been kicking around in the mobile industry since about 2010. That's when the iPhone 3GS first came out, if any of you can remember that far back. Like I say, I've been with Blackberry about 4 years. I currently cover the blue light sector, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Israel, Africa, and some larger enterprise grade customers in Blackberry. Some of you may know me already and others will get to know me through this webinar. So I'm going to discuss 3 different areas in Blackberry through this webinar. The first one being Blackberry UEM, I'll then go on to Blackberry Workspaces, and finally, I'm going to discuss an ISV Blackberry partner product called Ident Protect. But to begin with, let's start off with Blackberry UEM. So Blackberry UEM, endpoint management, security, and much, much more. Yes, I know endpoint management can mean mobile devices, but it's much, much more than that, and I'll show you why. So, let's talk about endpoint management. So, endpoint management, EMM, is a platform that allows you to control devices and apply controls to registered devices on that platform. A bit of a mouthful that, but what does that actually mean? Well, much like you had with Windows machines with likes of NetWare and Active Directory, with mobile phone devices such as iOS and Android, you can push down controls to those devices. You can also enroll them in a certain way that certain controls are visible on those devices. So these controls are built in by the manufacturer. So obviously iOS controls are built in by Apple. Android controls are built in by Google. What are these controls? Well, the controls are much like you would expect. You've got the ability to push down a device password, email configurations, DLP controls, so that's data loss prevention controls. So you can have a sort of split device where you've got some work applications, you've got some personal applications, and you cannot copy the information between those sides of the devices. We've also got the ability to reset passwords, manage applications, and do some device unlimited wipes. So device wipe, as it sounds, push the wipe down to that device will fully wipe. Limited wipe, well, say that you do have sort of like a BYO device model. If you want to get rid of all the corporate data, the end users won't want you deleting all their personal controls. So a limited wipe will only remove the corporate data. Now that's the same across iOS and Android. And the difference between the two operating systems and level of control really varies depending on how the devices are activated. But essentially, anything you can do with one, you can do with the other. Now, these are the controls that the manufacturers give you on the platform. And being honest, every single EMM provider should be able to give you these controls because it's the core functionality of the product, and that's what's expected. However, here at Blackberry, we do have some additional controls that we can push down and additional services. And this is where we become a bit more than just a device management company. So what we have here is some UEM unique functionality. Now, the unique functionality we have is primarily around the communications. So I'm mentioning 2 things here. First of all, Blackberry Secure Connect Plus and Blackberry Secure Gateway. What are they? Well, Blackberry Secure Connect Plus and Blackberry Secure Gateway allow you to access resources behind your corporate firewall without the need for third-party VPN and without the need to publish anything to the internet. Yeah, that's right. You don't need to publish, you don't need to have an endpoint terminator on your firewall, and you don't need to publish anything to the internet. Our services allow you to access resources behind the firewall without this. This is all possible due to BlackBerry's unique private network. Now, I did say at the start, we're not just about mobile devices, but if any of you can remember back to when BlackBerry first came on the scene back in the early 2000s, and they were able to synchronize with email service in the back end. How was this possible? This was possible because BlackBerry built up this unique private network that allowed the flow of traffic between the mobile devices and the customer's Exchange servers on-prem. Now that network still exists. It hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, it's probably the largest unique private network in the world, and it has been said that due to the complexity, the cost, and the time it took to create, it will never be recreated by anybody else. Now, because we still have this, we utilize this private network in order to facilitate this communication. And this is what allows us to give the unique BlackBerry services that I've just talked about, such as BlackBerry Secure Connect Plus and BlackBerry Secure Gateway. Now, in addition to the uniqueness of our service and the ability to access resources behind the firewall without publishing to the internet, we do have additional activation types such as user privacy. Now, user privacy uses a platform called Blackberry Dynamics, which I'm coming on to the next slide, and it uses that to essentially manage applications as opposed to manage devices. Now, on that note, I'm going to slip to the next slide, and we're going to go into Blackberry Dynamics. So what is Blackberry Dynamics? Well, basically, it's mobile application management. So instead of mobile device management, we've now got mobile application management. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's managing a mobile application. So what is Blackberry Dynamics? Well, Blackberry Dynamics is a unique suite of applications. Now, these are enterprise-grade applications and designed with enterprise-grade security and functionality behind them. So unlike other manufacturers, other providers who have taken a consumer-grade application and then try to retrofit security and retrofit functionality, what we did at BlackBerry is we started from the ground up and we designed applications for the enterprise with security and functionality built into them. So Blackberry Dynamics is a suite of applications. So we have the likes of Blackberry Work, which is our email client. We have Blackberry Access, which is our secure browser. Blackberry Edit, which is our editing piece of software. And they've all been designed to be separate and individual containers. Now, those containers have their own security and routing. So the containers themselves have their own security and routing. So I mentioned before about BlackBerry's private network. Well, these applications use this private network natively, which means any Blackberry Dynamics application can access resources in the cloud or on the customer's network without having anything additional published to the firewall. Now, in addition to the routing, I mentioned security. Well, Blackberry Dynamics applications are all encrypted using a bespoke AES 256-bit algorithm. Now, the unique part about this security is it is not linked to either the keychain or the key store in any way. Now, we are the only provider that provide a secure container that doesn't rely on an underpinning by the operating system in any way, shape, or form. And this is important because that means we can provide security independently of the security of the operating system. Why is that important? Well, if you're looking at a BYOD deployment, you potentially don't want to look at any part of that employee's private device. However, with other platforms and other products, you can't ensure the security and integrity of your enterprise data without doing so. Here at BlackBerry, we can push down applications that are fully secure, regardless of the state of the operating system. Now, because of that, our Blackberry Dynamics applications have got certain accreditation. Again, that's unique to BlackBerry. We do have FIPS 140-2, but I know a lot of other people have that. But in addition to that, we have an EAL4 Plus accreditation as well. And the reason why we've attained this is because we have security independent of the operating system. There's unique integration between all Blackberry Dynamics applications, which means you can transfer data between these applications without relying on the base OS as well. Once again, keeping that security integral. We've got a unique set of services via additional server, the BEM server. Services such as Blackberry notifications. Notifications notify you when you get an email, even when the application is shut and not running. The BEM servers also provide other functionality such as Blackberry Docs, which is the ability to access not only web-based file shares or file sharing platforms, but also on-prem file sharing platforms such as your users' home directories. A unique set of business-oriented features. Again, I said before, these applications were designed to be used in the enterprise, so we have designed them for enterprise use. For example, some of the new features that are coming to Blackberry Work are its ability to not only set. So if you're trying to organize a meeting, one of the new features coming to Blackberry Work is to be able to suggest times, but that time suggestion will also work between different time zones. So as you can see, very granular about the set of services that we like to offer on these platforms, but again, truly aimed at an enterprise nature and an enterprise grade. So, as I said before, each one of these Dynamics applications is its own secure vault. The data in each vault is protected by bespoke encryption, again AES 256-bit encrypted, and that will protect your data at rest, transport, and use. The security is independent of the operating system. Now, I can't stress how important this is. Every other platform will rely on the operating system in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to go into how they do it, but please, if you don't believe me, you'll be able to see from results of a pen test exactly how they do. We also provide a Dynamics SDK, which allows our customers to take advantage of some of the Blackberry, well, not some of the Blackberry Dynamics features, all of the Blackberry Dynamics features. So say you've been developing an internal application. Well, if you use a Blackberry Dynamics SDK, you don't need to worry about the security behind the application or how the application will access data on your corporate network. Blackberry Dynamics will take care of that for you. It does allow unique interactions between the different applications. We can access resources behind the firewall without a VPN. And again, we've been continually developing these applications over the last number of years to be developed for the enterprise. So a couple of unique features there with Blackberry Dynamics, but I'm not going to stop here. I'm still going with UEM, and I've got a couple more features that I want to talk about. So the first is Blackberry Mobile Protect, mobile threat defense. Essentially protecting your devices from all the malicious and nasty threats that are out there on the internet. Now, why is this so important? What possible danger can the internet bring to mobile devices? Well, unfortunately, certainly with the events in the world in the last year, with a lot of people working from home and a lot of people working from mobiles, we're seeing an increased level of attacks, not on the corporate desktop, actually on mobile devices. Now, the reason for that is, again, people think of mobile devices as more secure. Your iOS device, much more secure than your Windows device, you would have thought. And you know what? You are right. The nature of the operating system makes iOS more secure. But that, in addition, makes the end users of that operating system a bit more vulnerable because they're not expecting an attack. So we've seen an increased level of especially phishing and smishing attacks. So phishing, everybody hopefully will know that's where people are targeted with fake emails in order to try and get credentials or money from them. Smishing, the same, but using SMS instead of SMTP as a target platform. And this is why we've brought out Blackberry Mobile Threat Defense to counteract this. So what is Blackberry Protect Mobile? Blackberry Protect Mobile effectively is two different products that can be coexist or be used independently on each device. So we've got what we call Blackberry Protect. Now, Blackberry Protect is essentially a separate client that runs on the Venue console. Now, what's the Venue console? Well, many of you will know that Blackberry acquired Cylance back in 2019. The Cylance console is now known in the UEM world, or in the Blackberry world, as the Venue console. So that's the console that you would use to essentially control Blackberry Protect, Blackberry Optics, and also now Blackberry Protect Mobile. So Blackberry Protect Mobile is a client that you can utilize and deploy using the Blackberry Venue console. This provides a nice graphical interface that the users can see to see if the device is compromised in any way. Again, green color scheme, amber if there's a bit of a risk, and red if there's a proper risk. Now, it's very effective, let me tell you. I've been an avid Android user since about 2007. And one of the things I always do on my Android devices is I turn developer options on. It's my phone, I can do that. I want to turn developer options on. However, developer options is seen as an amber warning in the Blackberry Protect client. And I have to say that when the client was put on my corporate phone, again, that I had developer options turned on, instead of a nice green light, I had an amber light. And there was something about my OCD that couldn't work and function with the device with an amber warning on it. So I turned developer options off. Probably for the first time in 13 years, I walk around with an Android device without developer options on. And again, sometimes it's the power of just having that nice clear indicator on the phone that gives the users that end user experience. Anyway, that's Blackberry Mobile Protect. Now, the other part is the built-in Blackberry Protect in Blackberry Dynamics. Now, back onto one of my favorite subjects, Blackberry Dynamics. And I'm sorry, I know that I keep harping on about this, but it is for a reason. So we have this Blackberry Protect client that sits on a device, but we also have built the Blackberry Protect functionality into our Blackberry Dynamics apps. Now, what's the point of that, I hear you ask? Haha, let me tell you. So imagine you've got a device controlled by Blackberry and you've got Blackberry Dynamics apps in there. So you've got the UEM client, the Blackberry Work, Blackberry Access. You can enable mobile threat defense on your devices without the end users having to download another application. Now, this is brilliant for both corporate and BYOD devices, both. So imagine you've got a set of customers accessing their corporate email on BYOD devices using Blackberry Work. You can enable mobile threat defense protection on their device without having to install an extra application. Now, more importantly, because it's built into the MTD client, you have a unique set of other functions as well, which I'm going to get onto in the next slide. So I was getting a bit ahead of myself there. But just on a sort of feature overview, the protection that we can offer with Blackberry Protect are iOS sideload detection, Android malware scanning, SMS phishing, smishing, privilege escalation, device attestation, and device misconfiguration. That's all the protection that we can offer with our clients. Now, why would you use Blackberry Mobile Threat Defense? Well, our technology, Blackberry Protect, is based on an AI engine. So instead of the traditional antiviruses that utilize a signature-based threat, in fact, you need to have seen a threat before you can actually provide protection against it. Blackberry Protect uses AI intelligence, artificial intelligence. Over the process of the last number of years, we have scanned over 2 billion files, and of those 2 billion files, we've scanned about 200,000 attributes. Now, we take those attributes from those files and we can build up a picture of what is a good file, a bad file. We've also extended this technology into good emails, bad emails, good URLs, that sort of idea. So our mobile threat defense is based on AI protection and not the traditional signature-based protection. Now, because of this, we will be able to detect zero-day threats and not threats that have been seen before. Another reason is that we can provide assurance across a complete mobile fleet without the need for any additional software, and we have a single pane of glass as well. So we have no separate product console. We can set it up all through the UEM console. We don't need a separate console, although we do have the option with Blackberry Protect to have the separate console, but we can do it all within the UEM console. Now, something that the slide doesn't say, and I will talk about now, is some of the advanced protection that we can offer. Now, you'll probably remember that I said that mobile threat defense was built into the Blackberry Dynamics applications. Well, Because it's built in, we can offer full detection and remediation without the device being online. So let me take you through a scenario. If you have another EMM provider and another MTB provider, now in a general scenario, what will happen is the mobile will turn on, it will detect the threat, it will send the threat to the MTD console. The MTD console will then send a command to the EMM console through an API command saying this device is infected with something, and the EMM console will then send a command to the device to protect the corporate data on that device. Now that involves two different consoles, communication between these two different consoles, and the device being online. Because we've built everything into the one product, we can actually have our applications take their own remediation action. What does this mean? Well, if I was trying to hack a phone, what's the first thing I would do? First thing I would do is take it off the internet and make sure it didn't call back home. So when I do that, I block this flow. However, with the Blackberry MTD protection and solution, we have the ability for an application to take its own remediation action. So if our applications, because they're built in, detect the likes of a device being rooted or a malicious app on the device, or even a sideloaded app on the device, we can immediately get the application to either wipe its data or not open, effectively locking its data and protecting it. So without the device being online, we have full detection and remediation. Very powerful argument as to why you should look at Blackberry MTD. Now, the final point I'm going to come on to is on Blackberry Persona. So what is Blackberry Persona? Blackberry Persona is the ability, it's moving towards BlackBerry's zero trust continuous authentication model. What does that mean? Well, it means that we don't trust anything. We don't trust anything at any point. We will continuously authenticate. Now, I don't mean that we're going to continuously authenticate and prompt people to put in their passwords. No. What I mean by that is we are going to use other factors to authenticate the user. What are the factors, Andy? Well, other factors such as how the device is being used, where the device is being used, when the device is being used. So we'll develop a picture of what is being used where. So email application, 7 o'clock in the morning, particular location. And we'll build up a picture about that. But it's not just that. We can detect where the device is being used and even how it's being used. Everybody holds a mobile phone differently. Everybody utilizes the screen in a different manner. We take all that information in and we build up a risk score. And from that risk score, we can then change the security stance or what features are available on that device. Now, I've done a very good video of this on my YouTube channel. Please just Google Andy Grayson Blackberry in YouTube and you should be able to find it. And I've actually got a demo of a phone changing security stances as I'm walking around the streets of Edinburgh where I stay. This can also be integrated with other products such as Blackberry EID and hopefully soon a new product that will be launching in the very near future called Blackberry Gateway. Again, I can't say too much about this one, but it does allow you to take multiple different features and authentication methods from a mobile phone and provide a much better end user experience. And that's enough about UEM and onto Blackberry Workspaces. What is Blackberry Workspaces? Well, Blackberry Workspaces is our file sharing and collaboration platform. However, it's not just a bog standard file sharing and collaboration product. It involves or it provides complete security of your files even when they've left the network. Now, I will be demoing this product at the end of the video, so anybody who is skeptical about the power of what it can do, wait till the end and I'll show you, because it's not just a secure product, it's a very, very handy way of collaborating as well when you're on the move on a mobile device. So I'll be sharing all of that with you in a demo afterwards. So Blackberry Workspaces, essentially it enables you to extend your enterprise with three different factors here. So first of all, with security. Now, Blackberry Workspaces utilizes digital rights management for its security. Now, digital rights management, for people who don't know, is essentially encrypting files of any type utilizing certificates. So very much like the certificates that you get when you protect your digital banking traffic. Well, we use the same technology to secure any file or files that are shared on the Workspaces platform. Now, this means you can quite safely share files out with your organization and keep control of them. You can change the permissions in those files anytime. Even if somebody copies the files, puts them to a USB strict ties to access them offline, our security will stay with the file and you will be unable to open the file if that security or those permissions are removed. Now, we do lead with security with Workspaces, but it's also an exceptionally good collaboration platform. Not only has it got a web interface with viewers built in using any web browser, and I'll show you that again, but it also allows for proper collaboration. So you can share files out with your organization and other people can contribute. You can have multiple people working on the same files at the same time because you've got the ability to lock files. We've got commenting sections. It's just generally a very good platform to allow collaboration as well, especially with the Workspaces plugin that allows synchronization of files to the desktop. And finally, mobilization. One of the major advantages of the Blackberry Workspaces product is the mobile clients. And again, it's something I'll be showing in the demo, but we have a client for all mobile devices, Android, iOS, iPhone, that sort of thing. And not only does the mobile client allow you to browse all files within your Workspaces, but it has built-in viewers as well, which means it allows you to view any style of document within Workspaces, within that secure container, even if it's got digital rights management on that document, it allows you to view that document in a secure manner on that mobile device. Moving on, it delivers the core functionalities that users demand. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got 3 examples here. I'll talk through them. So, sync and share large files to anyone. And again, I'm going to be demoing this coming on because I do think the best way to prove the worth of Workspaces is in its demo. But you can share files with anyone and the files can be of any size as well. So theoretically, you can use your mobile phone to share any file of any size quickly to anybody who you have their email address for. Now, that can be an internal user or it can be an external user. It allows you to collaborate with teams in real time. I mentioned earlier on the ability to write comments, to be able to lock files for editing. That whole collaboration platform is built into Workspaces. And something else that I'll quickly show as part of the demo as well is Workspaces is its own repository, but it can link into other repositories as well. So it's got the ability to link into OneDrive, SharePoint Online, SharePoint, Box, even Windows CIF shares. Now here's an example for you. If you've got Workspaces published to the internet and you want to share files on an internal SharePoint site, you don't need to share those files via SharePoint. You can link Workspaces to SharePoint and utilize Workspaces to share file or selected files from that SharePoint instance out with your network. Now, the benefit of that is you don't publish your SharePoint site to the outside world. And also you can add additional DRM controls to any files. So you don't have to worry about your SharePoint security because Workspaces will handle the communication and the security for you. And also allows you to edit, annotate, access and share files using not just a desktop, but also a mobile client and the web. We have full integration with Office Online, which means you can utilize the a web browser to even edit files if you build that Office Online functionality into it. So moving to some core Workspaces use cases. Secure file sharing. It's exactly what it sounds. You can share a file on Workspaces with anyone, be it internal, be it external, and know that you keep control of that file at all points. If I share a file with you and I've made a mistake, I can't recall that file, but I can stop you accessing it, and Workspaces allows me to do that. Or say I want to share a file with somebody else, but I only want them to have access to it for a week. Well, I can do that because I can put a time bomb on that file, which will stop it and time it out after a week. Other important things I can do. I can put on watermarks. which means if I do share a file with somebody and they do decide to leak it by printing it if I've given them permission, or even taking a picture of their screen, I know who's leaked it because it can have their IP address, it can have their name, it can have their email address, all in the watermark in that document. So we will provide as much security as possible to allow you to share and collaborate in a way with anybody and everybody. Secure file synchronization. I use Workspaces on a day-to-day basis because the Workspaces agent will actually synchronize files in the background between your desktop PC and the Workspaces repository, which means I can save files to my PC or what I look like to my PC, and it will then automatically share them up to Workspaces. Now, if I've shared that repository with somebody else, it will also share those files with other people, and it does it all automatically and all in the background. And it's the pure usability of Workspaces that makes it such a compelling product as well. Now, I've mentioned the mobile client before. Well, having Workspaces allows you to quickly mobilize existing repositories on any device in a secure manner. Because the Workspaces clients have built-in viewers, we can also set up repositories to have read acknowledgements. So if you've got files that you need to share with your employees or people with your organization that you only want them to be able to view on that device and then acknowledge that they've used it, Workspaces has that functionality. And I'll quickly show you that again in the demo. Secure mobile productivity, yes, it's the same. The clients allow you to not only view files, but if you're using a Dynamics version of Blackberry Workspaces, then you can link it into other Dynamics applications such as Blackberry Work, Blackberry Access, or even Blackberry Edit. And finally, the secure large file transfers. Well, because Workspaces doesn't have a significant file size limit, you can share huge files, gigs worth of files, 30, 40 gig files with people, and that can be done using the internal plugins, so you can essentially look like you're sending a file from Outlook, or you can send it directly from the Workspaces website, and you can share large files without actually having to send the files yourself. So we have got some file sharing requirements for productivity. I've mentioned a lot of this in the past, so I'm going to fly through it fairly quickly. It's Workspace is accessible via the browser, via applications, or also within the built-in client in Windows and Mac OS. Because of this, it's platform agnostic. It can provide secure access, productivity, and synchronization across a multitude of different file platforms. It has protection in place, so all files shared through Workspaces are protected through, can be protected through digital rights management, and it's that file protection that does give Workspaces the edge over other platforms as well. And because of this, it supports existing workflow and file systems. Now, I'll be going through a very small and basic workflow in the demo, but you should give you an understanding of what and how it can be used. Now, some of the security and compliance issues that Blackberry Workspaces can help. Well, because all the files are secured with DRM, you've got encryption at rest. Now, the actual form of encryption, again, is an AES 256-bit encrypted certificate that's FIPS 140-2 certified. Only authorized users may access that file. So if I were to send a file to somebody and they then forwarded that file on, I wouldn't be notified because they don't have any access to their email, but I would know that the other user cannot access that file without the other person sharing their credentials. I've mentioned before the restricted file for distribution, the digital rights management, and the watermarking. Something I haven't mentioned is the finely grained user access management and rights management. I'll be showing you that in the demo, which is one of the reasons why I haven't described it so far. And also an interesting and full set of logging requirements. Now, I'll show you this in the demo, but the logging around Blackberry Workspaces is quite substantial. And finally, automatic data removal for GDPR GDPR compliance as well. So Blackberry Workspaces not only allows you to secure and collaborate, to collaborate securely, but also helps you meet any GDPR regulations that you may have as well. Cool. Right, so the final bit of my presentation involves something slightly different, and what I'm going to talk about here is a Blackberry ISB partner, and that partner is is Ident Protect. Now, what is an ISB partner? Well, when Blackberry realizes that we don't have the best solution in the marketplace, we will partner up with an ISV who has got essentially a unique solution. In this case, Ident Protect are these partners, and they offer a truly password-free enterprise identity solution. So, passwords. What's the problem with passwords? Well, we've got some statistics here from 2018 that I'm going to go through, and it was shown that in 2018, more than 3.5 billion data records were compromised. Now, it was estimated that 6.5 million user accounts were compromised as well. Now, the reason for this compromise is hackers essentially breaching, and usually the breaches are gained through compromised security credentials. I mean, why go to the bother of trying to hack through a hole in a firewall or find a vulnerability in an operating system when you can actually just guess or get somebody's user credentials and log in and go straight in through the front door? Now, it's been estimated that these compromised data records are costing £115 per record. That's about $140 for anyone who isn't familiar with sterling. So in total, this is a £400 billion a year problem, or as was seen in 2018. Now, how do hackers get these credentials? Well, I've talked about earlier in this video. Phishing, whaling, malware attacks are all designed in order for attackers to get their hands on people's credentials, effectively get their hands on the crown jewels that protect your organization. And once they've got their hands on these crown jewels, they can just walk straight through the front door. They don't need to find a vulnerability. So passwords and user credentials, they're an issue. They're a problem. It's something you need to think about. There's another problem that you potentially should think about as well, and that's productivity. So again, using statistics from 2018, shown that 40% of employees can waste up to 24 hours a year inputting passwords. Now, when I first heard this statistic, I thought, no, that can't be correct. However, I started looking at how often I put passwords in on a daily basis, whether accessing the initial access to my laptop, whether I'm accessing VPNs, accessing internal applications that aren't linked to Active Directory, accessing SaaS-based services. Yeah, I spend a lot of time putting in passwords, and I spend even more time putting in passwords when I forget them or I get them wrong. So yeah, I can see how 24 hours a year is potentially accurate. In fact, I think it might actually be slightly under. Not only that, because of this, if we look at an average earning around some sectors, we could think of about £320 per employee lost in productivity annually just by dealing with passwords. And that's putting passwords in when everything is correct as well. Now, if we take about other factors with passwords, and what's the most common thing about a password is, yes, you forget your password. Now, let's look at what happens when you forget your password. You have to call the IT service desk or help desk. Now, statistics show that on average, a help desk call costs about £50 per help desk call. So having passwords not only costs in productivity, costs in the loss of productivity in putting passwords, but also costs help desk call time as well. So all these hidden costs that you've probably never actually thought about with passwords are something that you should think about as well. So how can Ident Protect help? Well, Ident Protect provides a next generation client for authentication. It is a true password-free way of accessing not only corporate on-prem resources, but also SaaS-based resources. It allows you to log in to lots and many different platforms at any time with just a touch of a button or using biometrics on your mobile phone device. It can lead to reduced help desk supports and increased productivity because users are authenticating less. And as I said before, it integrates with thousands of applications. So it's not just SAML-based applications. This can integrate with more traditional applications that don't use SAML. So, you know, you're even potentially an old mainframe style applications that have local usernames and passwords. It's possible for Ident Protect as an identity provider to link into these platforms as well. So how do they do it? Well, Ident Protect don't manage passwords like some other traditional enterprise identity-based solution. It's not a case of me saving a password and then that password being cached and saved securely and then provided to that platform. No, what Ident Protect do is it uses industry accepted security standards, basically including PKIs, to form a secure authentication between Ident Protect and the application that you're trying to access. So effectively, Ident Protect will authenticate to the target platform using a PKI certificate. How does Ident Protect get the authentication from the user utilizing the product? Well, that's done using the Ident Protect application. There are potentials to use one-time passcodes or a second layer of passwords, but in an ideal world, what they will do is we'll use biometric authentication on the device itself to provide user authentication, which is then used by Ident Protect to authenticate to the end platform. Now, very much like Blackberry Dynamics, Ident Protect is very unique in its security. It uses the device secure enclave. So that secure part of the device that is used with the likes of Google Pay and Apple Pay, that is where the private key of the Ident Protect app is stored. And that is how Ident Protect is truly password free. There's nothing stored in the keychain, there's nothing stored in the key store. It stores that user's private key in the secure enclave on that device. And this secure key allows the application to integrate and authenticate to the Ident Protect platform, which in turn can provide authentication to an end target platform, and all done without the need for any passwords or any saved passwords or any cache passwords. Very interesting as well, Ident Protect can be used with Blackberry Dynamics to provide biometrics authentication from a cold start without any loss of security. Blackberry Dynamics as a platform itself requires a password from a cold start to provide this functionality. So even for this one use case alone, Blackberry and Ident Protect do work together in tandem to provide a very, very user-centric experience, but providing ultimate security towards the end platform itself. So Ident Protect, it safely and securely removes the need for passwords on multiple applications. This secures your crown jewels from the likes of hackers. It reduces the chance of data compromises. It provides real-time security intelligence that the person is actually who they say they are, not just someone who's remembered your passwords. It's got a flexible deployment approach. It can run as an on-prem solution or a cloud-based solution, and recently as a service, cloud as a service, software as a service, a SaaS-based model. And essentially the cryptography can remain entirely in your control. It's not ever in the cloud somewhere, so it can use its own hardware. It can use its own hardware secure module, or your own hardware secure module. So if you've got your own hardware secure module that you keep certificates in, Ident Protect can integrate into that, provide that perfect end security as well. And that is just a quick overview of Ident Protect. Again, I've actually got some videos of Ident Protect working on my YouTube channel. Please look at, do a search for Andy Grayson Blackberry on YouTube, and you'll find that channel. You can actually see Ident Protect working alongside Blackberry. And now, I want to say thank you for watching this presentation, and I'm going on to move on to a technical demonstration. I'm just going to finish up my session with a quick demonstration of Blackberry Workspaces and some of the security and file collaboration that I was talking about earlier on in my presentation. Now, through the magic of television, well, not television, but through the magic of WebEx, you'll see that my slides have somehow been replaced with this demo PC. Now, let me talk you through what I've got here. So I have here a Linux machine running Firefox, and I am accessing Blackberry Workspaces on Firefox. Now, why is that important? Well, I don't have any built-in viewers here. So I don't have any viewers for the likes of Word, Excel on this machine, but I'm still going to be able to access the files based on the plugins of the Workspaces browser. So I am a workspace owner here. I'm not an enterprise admin or anything like that. I'm just a workspaces owner. Now, it's important that I mention that because I'm going to be doing some stuff later on that will show some of the features that I can do as a workspace owner. So I've created this contracts workspace, and with that contracts workspace, I've shared it with a number of different users, but the important user is this demo user here. So I've shared this workspace with the demo user with the following rights. So essentially, I'm using advanced rights management, which is digital rights management, and I'm sharing files in this folder with download, protect, edit, copy, and print. So essentially, all permissions they can with DRM. Now, in this contracts folder, you can see I've got two different files. Now, if I look at this file here, you can see the permissions are exactly the same. If I look at the financial statements, PDF, you can see the file isn't the same. Now, I mentioned earlier that we've got a lot of granularity with the permissions we can apply in workspaces. Well, this is how we can do it. So, looking at the permissions for that user here, you can see I've changed it. So he's got Spotlight View. What is Spotlight View, I hear you ask? Well, I'll show you in just a couple of minutes. And again, with this demo folder here, you can see that the user doesn't have permission here. So again, different levels of permission on different files, different folders, full granularity. So the demo user I've got here is shown by this PC. Now, it's a virtual machine running Windows 10, and I've got the full Office suite running on this, and I've also got Workspaces, the Workspaces plugin as well. Now, this is the important thing. The Workspaces plugin allows the synchronization of files to the machine. So I have synchronized that contracts workspace. So everything within that contracts workspace that I have permission to will be synchronized down. And that's shown on the desktop with this workspaces icon. Now, essentially, this is just a Windows folder. That's all it is. But it makes it very easy for your end users. Don't forget I mentioned earlier that you can have other platforms joined in. So if I'll quickly show you them. If I look at the content connectors, you can see that I can add in a lot of different other content connectors. Now imagine that you've got a couple of different SharePoint sites, SharePoint Online, Windows file shares, can get quite complicated for users. However, they can access everything through this workspace icon here. And you can see that I've got the contracts workspace in the folder, and that's synchronized up. And I've got board minutes and the financial statement. Now, financial statement, why is it different, I hear you ask? Well, it's a shortcut because I have read-only access and it's Spotlight View. It means it's not synchronizing the file, it's just synchronizing an internet shortcut. So when I double click on that internet shortcut, it will open up Workspaces and show me the financial statement in Spotlight View. Now this is the Spotlight View here. So Spotlight View only shows a couple of lines at a time. And more importantly, also I've got the watermark protection that I've got in here. So you can see it's got my email address and also the terms protected, do not share. So again, I've shared a file, but I've shared it in a very secure manner. People will find it difficult to shoulder surf. And if I did want to take screenshots of every single line and share it, it's got my email address all over it for the person who shared it. However, let me move swiftly on how this works. So, how do you use Workspaces to collaborate? Well, we've got this handy comment section here. So if I were to write a new comment, let me just expand this ever so slightly. So look, it's found my email address here. Can you please check the document update post? Now, this user will now receive a notification that a comment has been made mentioning him in the board minutes. Now, that notification will come through on an email, and you can see already we've got this email down. So, please check the document update. Okay, thank you. You can see that's coming in through email client as well. So yes, I can. So I will open up the board minutes. Just give that a couple of seconds. You can see it's configuring the computer for information rights management. So the Workspaces plugin also configures the Office suite to be able to utilize Microsoft's built-in DRM functionality. And I'll just wait for this to open, and open it shall. And you can see that it's using the built-in DRM functionality because it's pulled in the digital rights permission from Workspaces into Word. Now, because I've got the ability to edit this, I can edit this. So it's now the 27th of April. I'm going to do that, and the time has changed to about 1 o'clock British Summer Time. So I'm just going to change the date and the time of the meeting and save that. So another handy thing here, if I go to Save As, you can see I've got the ability to save straight into Workspaces. Remember earlier when I said Workspaces can be linked to several repositories? Very handy for users. They don't need to know where these repositories are. They just click to the Workspaces button on their desktop. Now, I can save into the Contracts workspace, and when I save it, because it's a plugin, it will ask me whether I want to keep both files or save it as a new version. Now, I'm just going to save it as a new version. Now, that will save. It's configuring the computer for information rights management. And hopefully, I'm going to show you something if I can get there quick enough. So I need to wait for this to save. Yes, you can see that the sync symbol has turned blue, which means the file is synchronizing up. Now, as I'm waiting for the file to synchronize up, I want to show you how easy it is to share another file. So I've got this PDF that I need to share with the user. I simply drag it and drop it, and that then allows me to share that file. Now, when I share that file, it gets shared with the default permissions. See, it's picked up the default permission, so it will automatically share that file with this demo user. Now, in the meantime, you can see that board minutes has updated, so it's got a green tick on it. And you can see, I didn't even have to refresh the browser. It has pulled up that I can see it has been updated today at 1:20. Now, I can prove that by viewing it. Now, I mentioned earlier that we've got built-in viewers. This built-in viewer let me view this document online. And I'm just going to give it 2 seconds, and you can see, yep, all the changes I made are there. Now, remember, I don't have Word or Excel on this Linux machine. I'm just using a browser. This is all done as part of the Workspaces browser plugins. Now, let's switch back to this machine here, and what we should find is that the contract PDF is set for download, and it should download in just 2 seconds. In fact, what I should do is sync status. Again, this is the problems of doing a live demo of one. Sometimes you have to wait for your PC to catch up. However, while I'm waiting for this to catch up, I can go onto the browser and actually, there we go. I don't even need to do that, but I can wait for that file to download. So in this scenario, what's happened is I've accidentally shared this file, and I shouldn't have done so. Now, the end user knows this, so he's going to copy this file and put it on his desktop. Now, you notice that I couldn't stop the file from being copied. That's because I have no rights over this machine here. As the sharer, I have no rights. I do have rights to put digital rights management in the file, not to stop it being copied. So just to prove that I can open this, I'm I'm going to open it with Workspaces Viewer. Now, why am I opening it with Workspaces Viewer? Well, it's a PDF file and it's got digital rights on it, so some applications can't open it. Workspaces Viewer can, and it gets installed as part of the Workspaces agent. And you can see that I've been able to open that PDF, but also it's got watermarks all over it. If I do try and open it in the standard application, which I believe is Microsoft Edge in this machine, I just want to show you that I'm not trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, and it does actually bypass things. If I try to open it with Edge, you can see, 2 seconds when it brings up. Here we go. I can't view it. It's basically saying it's an encrypted file, and I need to utilize a different application to open it. So remember, I'm not a Workspaces admin here. I've realized I've made a mistake. So I'm going to very quickly revoke access. Now, the ability for an end user to do this without calling it an administrator is quite phenomenal. If you've made a mistake, you're not going to go to your admins and admit you've made a mistake, are you? No. So I'm just going to revoke access. Now, it's going to revoke access to this demo user. Now, what we're going to see is we're going to see that contract. That was exceptionally quick. I wasn't prepared for that. As you can see, it's been removed already. However, it hasn't removed the copied file. So what happens if I try to open the copied file now? There we go. Even though I've copied that file, because that file had digital rights embedded in it and the copy had the digital rights embedded, I can't open that file because I've now revoked access to it. And just to prove that I'm again not hiding anything, I'll just open up the default program and show that I can't open that file as well. Perfect. See, I have lost complete access to that file. And supposing I realize it wasn't a mistake, I can just click on Inherit, and literally in the space of 1 minute, I should have rights to edit that, to access that file once again. And you've got to love it when the live IT demo works. But there we go. That shows you how quickly you can remove and add permissions back in the space of Blackberry Workspaces. So I've shown you some collaboration. I've shown you some security. Now, one last use case we were talking about was how you can use it for mobilization. Well, let's take a scenario here. I've just got off a plane. Now, I know we're having to stretch a wee bit with COVID, but then the reason why I'm doing this is because this has actually happened to me. I've just landed at an airport. I've got access to my mobile phone. I'm not going to have access to a laptop for about half an hour. And I've got a presentation that I need to share with this user here, but I can only do it with my phone. Now, this presentation is 40 meg. Now, let me just show you this presentation because we can do this. Now, if we go to product documentation, we've got this presentation here, and we can see the files is 36.7 meg. I'm not going to be able to send this through email. I'm not going to be able to send this easily through mobile phone, but a mobile phone is all I've got. So let me switch to a mobile phone and let me show you what you can do. So let me just open that device there. Now, if I go to Blackberry Workspaces, so this is the mobile client that's built in, and go to the product documentation workspace. Now, I might want to check that PPT to see if it's the right one, but don't forget these have got built-in viewers as well. So this is now currently loading the file. Now again, I'm just doing this on my mobile. Again, it is a rather large file, so I'm just going to have to wait for it to download. And there we go. So yeah, that is the right file I need to share. So how do I share this quickly? It's compressed it down a wee bit because it's the mobile client. How do I share this file quickly? Well, simple. I share file. and I share it with, there we go. Now what message, here is the demo, here is the file, sharing permissions. I want to give him download protected only, so I don't want him to be able to edit it. I don't want the watermark. I don't want commenting. I am going to expire after 1 week. Remember that I mentioned we have to expire, and I'm going to share that. So that was all done through a mobile device. Now let me just shut this down. Because if I now go to Workspaces, now don't forget, I haven't synchronized that workspace yet, so I'm just going to go to the Workspaces webpage, because I can go access the Workspaces web interface at any point. You can see I've had an email that a file's been shared with me. If I look at product documentation, Workspaces, I've now got access to that file, and it's the full file size version as well. So I've got access to a 37 meg file, which was shared by someone using a Workspaces client on a mobile phone. And I'm happy because I can now do my presentation. So there we are, a quick overview of Workspaces and how it can be used to collaborate, to secure files, and also how it can be used on a mobile device to effectively get yourself out of trouble if you need to. So I want to say thank you very much for essentially paying attention to me for the last hour. It has been a pleasure talking to you. And if you have any questions about any Blackberry products, please get in touch with me directly or contact your local Blackberry account manager. Once again, thank you and take care. Stay safe.